Good morning. Everything is good? Shantideva, in his Bodhicharya Avatara, Bodhisattva way of life, he says, life is short. There are too many things to know. We do not know the actual span of our life. Therefore, just as the swans extract milk from water, take only that which is necessary. I think this is a very powerful teaching, right? Life is short. Short hai ki nahi hai? Life is short, but we are not able to use this short life properly. One master by the name Kongtang Tempedome, he said, Thamchu chiju majung nishuchi. Look at the beauty of Tibetan language. I'm encouraging you to study Tibetan language. Thamchu chiju majung nishuchi. Chego samne nishuchi. Majung samne nishuchi. Can you translate this for me? Tamju chiju maju nishuchi. 20 years is lost not being able to do dharma practice because you are a child and things like that. Chego samne nishuchi. By saying, I will do dharma practice, but not doing it, 20 years passes. कितना पहुंच गया अभी 40 साल उसके बाद फिर बुढ़ापा शुरू हो गया majung से nishuchi. Then you pass another 20 years saying, I could not do. Misi tumba se vendam thre. This is the biography of an empty life. Right? So I think this is really very pertinent in our life because we have this habit of keep on postponing what we must be doing, number one. Number two, we are distracted, as we already discussed on the very first day, distracted to so many things, especially in today's age, the so-called age of information. We proudly say we are living in the age of information, right? But it is important to understand much of the information that you get is useless, junk information. I'm not just saying it. Junk mail hai na. Much of the information is junk information, and we spend awful lot of time looking at these junk mails. You can't afford to do this. Wasting your precious life, taxing your precious brain. You can't afford to do this. So therefore, you should know what information you should get, what information you should not get. ठीक है ना? Thirdly, you should really try to get knowledge and then especially wisdom. Did I give you this example earlier? Information is like reading all the books about how to build a ship. Did I? So this is an example. Information is getting all the information, all the needed information. For example, in the case of building a ship, information is getting all the information needed to build a ship. So that may be good, but you don't know how to build a ship. Knowledge enables you to build a ship. Lot of progress. So knowledge is much better. But wisdom ensures that the ship does not sink. That's what I'm saying. Otherwise you have all the information and additionally some knowledge also, but you all have no morality, no love, no compassion, no concern for others. Ruinous life, as we did yesterday, letting yourself pulled by the attractions of the sensual pleasures. So make sure that your life does not sink. Right? So therefore, the most important journey that you can make in your life is journey inside, not outside. The most important discovery is self-discovery. Because of this hollowness, emptiness inside, we are not able to get that needed happiness, that needed peace, and so forth. And then what happens? Khali dimag, shaitan ka ghar. These days people talk about, the disadvantages of too much thinking. People do talk about these things. But too much thinking generally not necessarily bad, but too overthinking, as we say, overthinking. Overthinking primarily happens because when you let your mind focus on all the negativities of other people, their overthinking takes place. Helping others, overthinking doesn't happen. When it comes to helping others, you hardly think. Even if you think a little bit, not so much. Only bodhisattvas think about it. Only people like His Holiness think about it. For example, there is one quotation which says regarding giving, there is a quotation in Shantideva's book. How many of you are familiar with this Shantideva's book? 1, 2, 3. Good. Yeah, so you should get familiar with. This is the best book on ethics. And I promise that I'll give you a book, to all of you, this book, I'll give you. So you should read it. This is the best book on ethics, written in 8th century by an Indian saint scholar. Okay? So read that later on. So there's one stanza which says, if I use this, for example, if I use this, what will I give to others? This way of thinking is the God's way of thinking. If I give this, what will I use? This is the devil's way of thinking. See? The point is only getting obsessed with oneself and not thinking at all about others' needs. That's the problem. Right? So overthinking takes place because you focus too much on other people's mistakes, shortcomings, If you are asked to narrate about the shortcomings of somebody, you have a whole story to talk about it. So that's the thing. So therefore, Dungye Mali, Dagde Dwele Chung, Zogwa Sanji, Hembe Seble Chung, Tejer Dagde Henji, Dungye Yanda Jeva Jase Lali. There is another small text which is called 37 Bodhisattva Practices. Beautiful text. 37 Bodhisattva Practices. So in that text, there is a stanza which says, all the sufferings that we are experiencing, all the troubles and sufferings that we are experiencing arises because of this wish for one's own happiness only. And the mind of enlightenment, the highest state, the mind of enlightenment comes because of thinking about well-being of others. Therefore, it is a bodhisattva practice to exchange oneself for others. Until now, you've been thinking only about yourself. Now you think at least more about other people. And you are not going to lose anything. You will be the one who will get the maximum benefit. Right? So therefore, this text is really talking about how to remove misconceptions, how to do away with self-cherishing attitude, and how to cultivate wisdom, understanding, shunyata, and how to cultivate bodhicitta. We discussed about this a little bit earlier. Do you remember the two parties? The party of negative emotion, party of positive emotion. And who is the boss of the negative emotion? President, Prime Minister? Self-grasping and self-sharing. Wonderful. And then the two bosses of the positive group? Wisdom, understanding, emptiness, bodhicitta. Wonderful. Okay, so that's your heart practice. Okay, let us now read the text. Yesterday we read this text about the 8 worldly concerns, right? So now verse 30. Verse 30 is saying that you should, when you reach on the path of accumulation or even otherwise, you should abide in your practice. That means giving up what is not needed and adopting what is needed. So therefore, in order to do that, you need to know what must be adopted and what must be given up. And this can be judged by recalling what was your primary objective of your life. What is it that you wanted to get? And there we all agreed by saying that we all want long-lasting happiness. In order to get that long-lasting happiness, the obstructive factors are negative emotions. So therefore, negative emotions must be eliminated. The contributing factors are loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, and so forth. So they must be empowered, they must be cultivated within our mind. Okay, so that is what he's saying here. Do not commit evil, not even for the sake of Brahman, a bhikshu, deity or guest, father or mother, son, queen or retinue. They will not share any part of its internal fruition. So he's simply saying that don't do anything negative, even for the benefit of, for the sake of your father, mother, brother, sister, Brahman, whoever. Even for the sake of Buddha, don't commit any negative thing. This is important because most of us, in the name of religion, committing many heinous crimes. We become fundamentalists. We become fanatics. We don't hesitate killing other people in the name of, so-called in the name of Buddha or in the name of God. You know, honestly speaking, how many of us have encountered God or Buddha? कुछ हद तक ये कही सुनी बात है ना. We personally did not meet God, did not even meet Buddha. But these people are breathing, living in front of you, and you have no concern for these people who are living in front of you. You don't hesitate killing them in the name of somebody, the so-called God or Buddha, about which actually you have no idea. So this is called blind faith. Oh, mat karo. Blind faith. How many conflicts are there all over the world, in different cities, you know, even in India, unfortunately, very often there are clashes in the name of religion, Hinduism, Muslim, this. This is all madness. Let people follow whatever they want to follow. There are people who don't even believe in religion. That's their choice. There are people who are against religion. In America, there is a whole TV channel which always talks about things, saying that there's no God, you know, things like that. So it's people's choice. So long as they don't disturb the harmony of the people, don't go against the law. Law means honest law, not the law by name. You know? Then let people live. Right? So we have big responsibility. I don't need any further explanation in this. Do not commit evil, not even for the sake of Brahman. Brahman means somebody who is doing great practice. Then bhikshu, deity or guest or father, mother, whatever. There is a story in Tibet. There was a hunter who used to kill animals and then feed his family. So one day a monk met that hunter and he said, don't kill, don't take life of animals. You will have to experience the negative consequences. Alone. And I said, why alone? I'm doing this for my family. So definitely my wife loves me, my children loves me, so they will also share the fruit. Then the teacher said, don't be stupid, you know, you just go and ask them. So the hunter comes home and asks his wife, this is what this Guruji said, but I know you love me, so I'm sure you will share the consequences of this negative doing also. She said, don't be stupid, how can I share? If it is something I can share, of course, but this is something that I can't share. Hena. So even in this life, no need to talk about future negative result. Even in this life, if you do something wrong, you will end up in jail. Not necessarily your whole family members. So at the end of the day, you need to protect yourself. You need to take care of yourself. Not in a selfish way, but in a positive way. Therefore the Buddha said, self is the protector of the self, no one else can be the protector. Likewise, self is the enemy of the self, no one else can be the enemy. If you are suffering, it's because of your wrongdoing. If you are flourishing, it's because of you doing the right thing. No point using, blaming others. No point blaming the weather, blaming the traffic jam or whatever, Okay. Okay. Now, having said this, people might think, okay, there must be negative consequences for doing wrong things, but for the time being, I want to enjoy. For the time being, I want to enjoy. So later on, when I'm about to die, then I'll start practicing. This is how we think. This is how we think. Did I tell you this story of a human being making friendship with a ghost? No? Are you sure? Okay, there was a gentleman who made friendship with a ghost who had some kind of clairvoyance. So this human being, like any one of us, he said, I'm a little bit scared of death, but I also want to enjoy life. So when I'm about to die, please tell me, because you have some kind of clairvoyance. Then I'll start practicing. So until to that point, I want to enjoy, have fun in my life. And then the ghost friend said, okay. So one day the ghost friend turned out and said, my dear friend, one of the family member living down died yesterday. He said, oh, so sad, oh, mani padme hum, so sad. But he continued his ordinary way of life, having fun, entertainment, distraction, and so forth. Then after a while, the ghost came again and said, my dear friend, one of the family member of theirs died last night. He said, oh, so sad, Om Mani Padme, Om Mani Padme. Chanting some mantra, But he continued his way of life as before. One day the ghost friend said, my dear friend, it's your turn to go. He said, how come? I told you to tell me a little bit in advance. Then the ghost friend said, I have never seen a stupid person like you. I told you 2 occasions. This person died there, this person died there. It should have occurred to you that you are not different. You should have started practicing then. This is exactly the situation we are facing. In our actual life, how many of us know how many people, friends died? We have the list during COVID time or even otherwise. But we think, I will be okay. So therefore in Tibetan we say, don't make friendship with okay. Don't make friendship with okay. It's not okay. Be prepared, it can come anytime. If it comes, then it comes. You will have to leave everything unfinished, your beautiful project, your beautiful planning, all the things, fancy things that you have collected over the years. You will not be able to take anything with you. You will not be able to take even your body with you, the body that you looked after so much, cherished so much. Everything. Just like a string of thread pulled out of a lump of butter. If you pull a string from the lump of the butter, the only string will come. No butter will stick with it. So you will go alone. Your friends cannot come, relatives cannot come. Only they can do is trouble you more. Because when you are about to die, they'll surround you and then cry and weep and do all the useless things. And you will also regret and cry and weep, and you also join them doing the useless things. So to make a long story short, all these teachings of the Buddha, he's saying that use your khopri, brain, and do those things which is useful. Don't do those things which is not useful. And we end up doing all the useless things. Discrimination, segregation, fighting, not doing what we should be doing. And then later at the end of the day, you regret. It's only at the end of the day, when you are sure that you are on your deathbed, then some kind of wisdom starts coming in you. That's why right now in the Buddhist texts you are encouraged to reflect on death. Not to frighten you, but to get that wisdom of the reality. I read a story collected by one of this, I think they call it Mahant or something, who normally is the caretaker at the Ganga, near the Ganga. There is an ashram, then you have a Mahant there, who, when anybody at the last stage comes, then they spend few days there, then they die and cremated. So what was the state of the mind, the situation of these people who had only 2-3 days to live? He had recorded all this. It's very beautiful, finding. Their enmity goes away, ill will goes away, hatred goes away. For example, there was one gentleman who, after reaching there, he said, the only thing that I want before I die is call my friend, call my brother, with whom I had a misunderstanding, and we petitioned the house. So before I die, I want to make sure that petition is destroyed. And then the brother came, he cried, hugged, and make sure that the petition that is destroyed. Something like that, you see. There is also said that when you are there at the last stage, then the religious chantings make much more sense than what you normally do. Normally you don't even listen to these things. You only chak chak kop kop kap 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 wahi hai na music. Those things which has a meaning, you don't want to listen. Slow bolega. You don't want to listen. Doesn't make sense. Then each and every teaching word, they make sense. You see? Because at that time you are now approaching to see the reality. You are not feigning. You are not making things up. So all these things we should, know much in advance. Like, for example, the art of practicing yoga, so much popular. You have Yoga Day and international, now it is International Yoga Day is also there. There also much of the exercise that you do is related to the breathing. Breathing we do all the time. So why we need to learn breathing? Breathing is there all the time. So yoga, basically the breathing that you are told to practice in the yoga practice is breathing with mindfulness, with awareness. That is yoga breathing. Ordinary breathing you do all the time. When you do the yoga, then it's inhalation, exhalation, in between there's a little bit rest, a little bit stoppage, and you do it with awareness, with consciousness. So what is this saying? Is whatever we do, we should do it with awareness, mindfulness, choice, not just reacting to everything. So that's the difference between ordinary breathing and breathing that you do when you do the yoga. So things like that. Okay, so what we need is wisdom, awareness, mindfulness. Okay, verse 31. Though no performance of evil karma will cut instantly like a sword, the result of evil deeds will become apparent when the time of death arrives. That's what I was saying. When you do something negative, for example, if you steal something, and especially this stealing is not known by anybody, nobody will punish you there, right then. But an imprint is left on your mind. And your conscience knows it. Then at the time of the death, you develop a very clear memory of all the things that you have done, good things, bad things. And then when you recall all these bad doings, you are overwhelmed by regret and suffering. And not only that, whatever you do, it leaves an imprint on your mind. Did I give you that example of recording something on the cassette? No? Okay. For example, in Buddhism it is said that whatever you think, it leaves an imprint on your mind. Positive imprint, negative imprint. For example, if I record something on the cassette, the ordinary cassette or gramophone, this, what you call it. So even on your mobile phone, whatever you record it. Okay, push the button, record, then record it. Now first you record a song, beautiful song, which everybody wants to listen to, beautiful song. Then second you record the shouting of two people fighting, saying all the nasty words, record it. Then next recording something else, record something else. Now having recorded everything there, now look at that ribbon or look at your mobile phone. Now it's even more subtle, You don't see anything. Do you see anything there? Your not being able to see anything doesn't mean they are not there. How would you know it? Play. Push the play button. And if you recorded a beautiful song, you will hear it. Recorded shouting, you will hear it. It's like that. Nothing gets lost. Right? And out of all these things that you have done, whichever, I think there is a stanza coming later which will explain this more. So nothing is lost. Though no performance of evil karma will cut instantly like a sword, the result of evil deeds will become apparent when the time of death arrives. So now with karma, there are so many, karma that is accumulated, not done, done, not accumulated, both accumulated and done, both not accumulated, not done. Then karma whose result will be experienced in this very life, karma whose result will be experienced next life, karma whose result will be experienced after many lives. So many, there are different types of karma. Then there are individual karmas, collective karmas. Collective karma means all of us can together do something good, together do something bad. That is collective karma. Individual karma, you individually do something. So there are so many different types of karma. So if you are interested, later on you can read all those things in the great stages of the path. Okay, those of you who are interested in more in Buddhism, want to know a little bit more detail, then I recommend reading that. I don't know whether you want to buy all those things. There are 3 volumes, Stages of the Path to Enlightenment by Tsongkhapa. Luckily that English version is available. So it is about how to find a teacher until you become enlightened. And much easier for people who have no time to read. It's much easier. The philosophical texts that we study in the monastery institutions are not easy, because then there is a presentation of one's own philosophy, then refutations and objections by other people, then again clarifying those doubts. So it's very complex. Now in these Stages of the Path teachings, there are very short versions also, but they will be very short for you. So to go a little bit deeper, you buy the bigger volumes. Then that will give you all these explanations about different kinds of karma and things like that. Okay? Then the next point is, you are instructed to practice to ensure that you get the most important seven riches, 7 wealth. Not the ordinary wealth, but wealth of superhumans. The Muni declared as the 7 riches. The 7 riches are, if you want to become rich, that's what he's saying. Internally, if you want to become rich, then you should have faith, about which I already explained. Morality, about which we already discussed. Generosity also we discussed. And untainted learning, as well as shamefulness, modesty. Now shamefulness, I'll explain this a little bit. Number 1, faith I've already explained, okay? Then morality also I explained. Then next is learning. Learning is listening to the Tripitakas and the commentaries of the Buddha's sutras, and memorizing and remembering the words and the teachings. Then giving, practice of generosity, giving wealth, giving education, giving fearlessness, and so forth. Then next is shamefulness. Shamefulness means with consideration for yourself, with consideration for yourself, with concern for yourself, when you stop doing negative things. For example, whether other people will know it or not know it, but if I do it, I will suffer the negative consequences. So it's not a question of whether other people are knowing it or not. So that's very, very important, because normally we may present ourselves very good in front of other people because the society doesn't allow many of these things, but but quietly you end up doing many stupid things. But here, if you have this sense of shame, then you will not do it. Ordinary people may not be watching, but enlightened beings may be watching. Celestial beings may be watching, right? Things like that. And then next is, there's no proper word, but here he uses the word modesty, but this basically means having some kind of consideration for others. You don't end up doing bad things because of your consideration for others. Consideration of others means if I do this, then other people will say bad things about me, and my fame will come down. It will ruin the name of my family, so forth. So you because of this consideration of what others will say, you stop doing negative things. And then wisdom is understanding the ultimate reality. So in order to have that wisdom, you need to develop the wisdom of thinking, by which you understand the meaning, the correct meaning. Then you develop wisdom of meditation, through which you are able to realize that ultimate meaning. And then we have a word in between here, which is, he said, untainted learning. But this word untainted, actually he says, should be applied to all the 7. Untainted faith, untainted morality, untainted generosity, untainted learning, untainted shamefulness, untainted modesty, untainted wisdom. This should be applied to all of these. Okay? Untainted means that it should not be done out of concern for temporary worldly well-being. Okay? And next he says that you should also give up these 6 practices which will, bring your name down. If you want to have a good name, all of us want to have a good name, right? That's why we all have a good name. So if you don't want to bring this name down, then you should not do these 6 practices also. Gambling, all kinds of gambling are there nowadays. And gambling means playing dice or playing cards, especially, keeping bet, a lot of money. In this way you waste your time also. And in ancient times there are stories, today also I think there are stories of people losing everything, all their belongings. In ancient times there are stories of even losing their wife or children, everything. It's so stupid. There's no limit to stupidity, human stupidity. This morning I watched one news which says there was a gentleman who has 5 wives, and he went out and stole another woman as his wife. Kidnapped. So. And then next is joining in crowds. Joining in crowds means we are fond of joining crowds, and if there's a group of people singing, we all want to go there and watch there, singing, dancing, whatever, right? And because of your joining crowds, your fondness of joining crowds, sometimes in big cities, if there's sudden an explosion, you will be killed because you are among the crowd. This is just one small example, So he's not saying that you don't have fun, don't sit with the crowd, he's not saying. But if you unnecessarily get too distracted in doing these things, you can get into big problem. Okay? And many times you go join crowds to see how many beautiful women are there, how many beautiful men are there. I know all this story, you see. Even when people go for circumambulation, many a times go to temple, even there they go for looking for girls or looking for men, Ye kahani purana kahani hai. This is old story, you see. So this is not good. This is not good, Okay. So what he's saying is, if you are too fond of joining the crowd and joining the going to entertaining places, and if you stay there, not only you go there, but if you stay there long time, then this is distraction. Right? This is distraction. And then what is it? Next one is laziness. Laziness. That laziness means having no delight in doing virtuous practices. I've already explained this. Various types of laziness, I've already explained this. And then bad friend, evil company. Evil company. You don't have much control over yourself. So therefore, if you associate and go with the wrong people, you will be easily taken into the wrong direction. The bad friends will not come to you as bad friends. They will come to you as a very good friend. They'll pour their heart out to you, saying, let us go have fun, let us go to nightclub, whatever. And I'll look, of course, don't worry, I'll look after all the expenses. Okay? Looks very nice. So in this way, you go downhill. So the indication of a bad friend is, by associating with somebody, 3 poisons increase: ignorance, attachment, anger or hatred increases. And your positive practices of listening to the teaching, meditating on the teaching, thinking on the teaching, if these studies and practices decline and go down, and then gradually you become a person with no love, no compassion. You are transformed into a person. You may be somebody who has a lot of love and compassion, but gradually you become a person. Because of associating with this person, gradually you become a person with no love, no compassion. That is a clear indication that you are in association with bad friend. Bad friend will not come to you in a very scary form, bearing fangs or, or a red eye or wearing black clothes or whatever, things like that. Okay? Evil company. And then of taking intoxicating drinks. No need to explain that. And going about at night. In this text it says, not 100% necessary, but generally speaking, going around in the night means either you are going around to steal or you are looking for men and women. So it's not a healthy sign. That one is also not a healthy sign. Okay? Going about at night lead to the lower states. In the future, you will be born into lower rebirth. In this life, lose your reputation. Abandon these 6 activities. Okay? Next is asking us to practice contentment. The teacher of gods, which means Buddha, the teacher of gods and men declared that being contented is the greatest of all riches. Remain satisfied, remain contented always. One knowing contentment is truly wealthy even without material possessions. Right? So if you are not contented, you may be the richest person in the world. Elon Musk or Bill Gates, Now all these rich people are now invited to China these days. The latest news. Okay? Khabri Lal hu main, Khabri Lal. So I'm telling you the news. Khabri Lal. You see? At one point there was so much restriction. They put on the rich, the rich Chinese, everybody's, censored, imprisoned, things like that. Now their economy is going downhill. So now in order to rectify that, they are inviting all these rich people, at least to improve their image. And many of the rich people are leaving China. Hundreds and thousands are leaving China. It has been happening since many, many years. So because of this. So if you have no contentment, you may look very rich. Right? But if you have no contentment, you are not rich actually. And even if you are very, very rich, how much you can eat? Kitna kha sakoge aap? Actually, the richer you are, the lesser you can eat. This is law of karma. This is law of karma. In Tibetan society, we have a saying that when you become an aristocrat, then you can't afford to drink, rich tea or things like that. You will primarily drink hot water. In our society, it's happening. The more you become affluent, the more you will have to cut down your diet. Hai na? So not necessarily good for their health also. So, a lot of things to say. I'm not saying you should become a beggar, but what I'm saying is, unless you have satisfaction, unless you know the limit of how much you should have, there's no end to your greed. This is explained in the next verse. Gentle sir, the king is supposed to be a very gentle, very nice person. So, Nagarjuna addresses him, my dear gentle friend, gentle sir. Those having few desires, like the misery of those with many possessions. Nothing comes value free. If you have more, you will have more problem. If you have less, in one sense you have less, but in one sense you have less problem. If you have 10 brothers, 10 sisters, at a sudden glance, things look great, but because of having many brothers, many sisters, these 10 brothers, okay, 10 sisters are not doing well. You have problem. These 10 sisters are doing well, but the 5 brothers are not doing well, like that. If you are alone, no need to worry. Hai na? Okay. So he gives example. However many the heads of the foremost Nagas. So the foremost Naga means the king of Nagas said to have many heads, more heads than the ordinary Naga, ordinary snake. Naga basically means he has snakes. Okay. So just however many the heads of the foremost Nagas, the more heads the Naga king has, the more he has hearts, problems. That's the example. Okay. Next point is, if you are practitioner on the path of accumulation and you are not ordained monk or nun, but you are householder, then your relationship that you make with your wife or husband, that should also be, or men and women, that should be very, very important. So again here in this case, the teaching is given to the monks, so I think from that point of view, he says, shun that if you are men, shun the 3 kinds of wives who are like a murderer, by nature associating with your enemies, a tyrant, scornful of her husband, and a thief who steals even small articles. I mean, it's not necessarily only wife, but men also like that. If you marry the wrong person, they'll become murderer because they associate with your enemy. They collude with your enemy. Her or his aim is to bring you down, so you collude with those with whom you have no good relation. And their mind is also evil, so they will also always try to harm you. The khabar test speaker the test namje speaker test chungta is echoing a little bit. Chung test. Hello, yeah, that is tuje. Okay. So again, no need much explanation. They are men, women, from their own house they steal things. Yeah, that's true, without asking the others. So give up those kind of friendship. And then contrarily, you should, make relationship with those people who have these qualities. Verse 37, one who is compliant as a sister and dear to the heart like a friend, wishing to help like a mother, and obedient as a servant, should be honored as the family deity. So this is a little bit tent of old custom. Women are not servant. This text says, obedient as a servant. Not necessarily in a negative sense, but wife is not servant of the husband. Husband is not servant of the wife. What he is saying is that their relation with each other is good, genuinely good, as is explained in these cases. Okay. And then another important thing that we apply in our daily life is the food that we eat. So he is saying that in terms of your food, there should be moderation. Food should be taken properly as though it were medicine. Medicine kitna khaoge aap? If it is a medicine, how much? With medicine, if possible, don't rely on medicine. Even if you rely on medicine, you will take just a little, not too much. Now in the so-called many developed countries, they eat medicine as if it is a food. Itna sara multivitamin ye hai, this is good for eye, good for knee, sab itna khata hai har roj. It's really, really dangerous. That should not be there. And then food should be taken properly as though it were medicine. Medicine, just as you don't take too much medicine or don't take medicine at all. So similarly, food also, there should be moderation. And it should be taken without desire or without hatred. Like for example, when you invade some other country, then the invaders, when they are able to get something from the enemy, they eat it with hatred. Khao, ab khao, toro salego. Bolke khata hai na? That's out of hatred. Then because of too much, something like gluttony, too much attachment when you eat, then you get obsessed with it. Then you get addicted to it. And then this part will come up like this. है ना? गुब्बारा फूल जाता है फिर सांस लेना भी मुश्किल. Then we have difficulty even breathing, right? So therefore at least half part of the body, your stomach, should be one part for water, one part for breathing. And if you eat too much, there's no space for breathing. होता है ना, कभी कभी हम लोग ऐसे होता है ना, बोलता है कि आज तो बहुत खा लिया, अरे सांस लेना भी मुश्किल हो गया. So not like that. Okay, not for conceit or arrogance, for example, or robustness. Don't eat so that you will look good. Or don't eat so that you become like a wrestler or boxer. कई लोग exercise करके then ऐसे even when they go they walk like this. Like this. So it should not be like that. Okay, that's what he's saying. So basically, food should be eaten properly means food should not be taken out of negative emotions. That's what he's saying. And he gave the example of medicine. And when you take medicine, the purpose of taking medicine is to nourish you and to restore your health. Not because not because the taste of the medicine is good. So similarly, when you take food also, you should not eat it because of the taste. Because we go after the taste, and that's why all this junk food, they are tasty. So therefore we keep on eating junk food. Potato chips here, so forth, that you keep on eating because of the taste, but it's not good for your health. Okay. Then, regarding your practice, he's saying, righteous one, sensible person. He is addressing the king by saying, righteous one or sensible king, occupy yourself during the entire day. Occupy means do your practice the entire day and the first and last period of the night. First and last period of night means during early in the morning, get up a little bit early in the morning during the dawn time. His Holiness the Dalai Lama gets up at I think 3 or something. Martin Luther King used, not Martin Luther King, Thomas Merton, whose monastery I visited, and I visited his ashram also in Kentucky. So Thomas Merton used to get at 2:30. And His Holiness goes to bed I think around 7:30 or something. And Thomas Merton goes to bed maybe 6 or something. So almost same, right? So during the dawn and last part of the night. Occupy yourself during the entire day and the first and last periods of night, then so that even your time of repose is not fruitless, recline attentively between those 2 periods. So that means this is how you should practice. And even when you sleep, you should sleep with mindfulness. That is what is saying, so that your sleep doesn't become meaningless. Now how can you make your sleep meaningful? Your sleep become meaningful just before sleeping. If you, for example, memorize this one beautiful verse, think about it, and then and also that will help you get your sleep very quickly. You know? Then in the night also it's very likely that you will keep on reciting that verse. That leaves a very, very strong imprint in your mind. Now instead of that, if you watch something which is violent, negative, destructive, then you will replay that in the night also, right? So there is a way of making your 24 hours of life, virtuous and meaningful. Okay? And then when you go to sleep, you should also develop this wish to get up early in the morning. ऐसा सोच के मत सोना कि कल तो मैं बस सोऊंगा. Don't go to bed thinking that I will sleep like a dog and I will not get up early in the morning. Don't go with that kind of motivation, but develop the motivation that I will get up early in the morning. And your motivation plays such an important role. It really works like your alarm clock. It wakes you up. Okay? And then also sleep with the feeling of light. Don't think that you are sleeping in darkness. A little bit of illumination, a light in the mind. Okay? Now next he is talking a little bit about paths which is related to path of application. Okay? And first he is explaining about the causes of the path of application. So out of this is explained with 4 parts. The first part he speaks about the 4 immeasurable qualities. Practice constant meditation upon loving kindness, which is called immeasurable loving kindness, immeasurable compassion, immeasurable joyfulness, immeasurable equanimity. Even though you may not attain the highest goal, you will acquire the bliss of Brahma realm. Okay? So that means loving kindness means thinking or aspiring that other people meet with happiness, other sentient beings meet with happiness. Compassion means how nice if other sentient beings are without suffering. Immeasurable joy means may they continue to stay in that state of happiness which they are already enjoying. And equanimity means that you don't make any partiality between sentient beings. They are all same. They all want happiness, do not want suffering. Okay? Don't develop this thinking of feeling of closeness to some and feeling of distantness to others. In this way you meditate on these 4 immeasurable qualities. So through this you will achieve these three states of enlightenment and even if you are not able to attain it, you will definitely born into the Brahman realm and okay, that's enough I think. We move to the next verse. And next is instructing to also meditate on the 4 concentrations, dhyanis, 4 concentrations. The four dhyanis, total abandonment of sensory experience, joy, ease and discomfort, enable one to attain the same fortune as Brahma, Abhasvara, Subhakrishna and Viratphala. So that means you move from desire realm. Again, this is a little bit complex. We talk about 3 realms: desire realm, formless realm. Now, in the desire realm, there is too much enjoyment with the sensual objects. We human beings belong to the desire realm. So, seeing this as a shortcoming, they develop this lack of attachment to the sensual objects. Okay, and then they engage more in investigation, analysis. So this is how they move into the first level of concentration. Okay, then so in the first level of concentration, there is total abandonment of sensory experience, the sensual pleasures that we are experiencing. That's what he's saying. The 4 dhyanis, 4 concentrations. First concentration is total abandonment of sensory experience, which we experience in the desire realm. And then when you go to the second concentration, you also abandon joy, which they think is also a distraction. And then when you move to the third, you also abandon feeling of ease and comfort, okay, and discomfort. So like that, you move from one concentration to other concentration. I'll just give you some indication, then of course you need to read more later on. Dhyanas, principal mental factors in the 4 dhyanas. Dhyana 1, factors present. In the first concentration, you have 2 antidotal factors, that is investigation, analysis, and 2 benefit. The benefit is you develop this joy and bliss based on 1 point in concentration. Okay? And what is absent in that state is sensual pleasures are not there, non-virtuous states of mind are not there. And what is present in the first concentration is investigation is there, analysis there, joy there, bliss, born of seclusion from the 5 hindrances also there. Now when you move to the second level of concentration, then you have 1 antidotal practice, which is internal clarity, which includes investigation, analysis, mindfulness, introspective awareness, equanimity. And because of that you get 2 benefit, that is joy and bliss, based again on concentration, because these are all levels of concentrations. And but when you reach that second level, what is absent is investigation, analysis, which is there in the first concentration. Okay, and what is present is internal stillness, one-pointedness of mind, joy, bliss of concentration. Now when you move to the third level, you have 3 antidotal practices, which is mindfulness, introspective awareness, and equanimity. And the benefit that you get is bliss, again based on 1 point of concentration. Now here what is absent is joy, as is written in the text. And what is present is equanimity, mindfulness, introspective awareness, bliss experienced by body. When you move to the 4th level, it has 2 antidotal powers, mindfulness, equanimity, and the benefit is equanimity, that is a neutral feeling based on 1 point in concentration. And what is absent there in the 4th concentration is bliss of joy and pain, and also joy and displeasure. And what is present is neither pain nor pleasure. And purity of mindfulness, equanimity, mind is purified, bright, unblemished, and so forth. So briefly speaking, this is just an indication. I don't know you will be able to understand all this. It's very complex. There's a whole subject on this. Okay, anyway, that's just a brief explanation. And now next what he's instructing is you are asked to practice very strong virtuous practices. Because right now the force of negative emotions are very strong. In order to fight this enemy of negative emotions, you also need equally strong positive qualities. Okay? So this is so because whatever you do, positive, negative, if it is strong, then it will either bring a lot of benefit or bring a lot of disadvantage. The 5 types of great virtues and non-virtuous karma, those which are done, there are 5 types of strong virtues or strong non-virtuous karma. The 5 types means those that are done constantly, positive or negative. Those that are done constantly, if you constantly get angry, the result will be very destructive. If you constantly practice patience, the result will be very constructive, something like that. So those that are done constantly and with a strong inclination, that means I must do this, I must kill this person, I must. किसी तरह से मैं इसको मरना है. Very strong inclination. And having killed that person or having done that wrong thing, lacking remedy. Remedy means you don't try to rectify it, and rather you would enjoy it and develop a sense of satisfaction. Okay? The basis of foremost virtue, like a remedy or towards the basis of existence or the basis of foremost. The basis of foremost virtue means the basis of existence, basis of foremost virtue basically means the object towards which you are doing the right thing or wrong thing. If the object is somebody who has been very helpful to you, like your parents, your relatives, your brothers, sisters, then the wrong things you do against them is more sinful. Similarly, the wrong things that you do against, like say His Holiness or Buddha or those who are kind, again very sinful. And similarly, the good things you do in regard to them is also much more fruitful and constructive. That's what he's saying. Okay. So out of this, you should engage in the virtuous practice. Exert yourself hence in the performance of virtue. Because your negative emotions are very strong right now. Your positive emotions are very weak. So empower them. If you don't do that, you will not be able to fight against the negative emotions. Okay. And here you might ask a question by saying, yes, we'll try our best to empower the strength of the virtuous practices, but since we have negative emotions also, it will get mixed with all those positive practices, right? You might think something like this. So there he is saying, a few grains of salt can change the taste of a small quantity of water, though not that of the Ganges, right? If you do very strong, constantly, strong positive practices, then occasionally you do something negative, it will not be able to destroy your good doings. Just like if you put a grain of salt in a small glass like this, it can change the taste. But if you put a small salt into Ganges river, it will not make Ganges river salty or anything like that. Okay? The big oceans are by nature salty, but not by this small amount of salt. So similarly, if your overall practice is very strong, then small negative emotions will not be able to destroy it. That's what he's saying. So therefore, strengthen your positive practices. Understand that even small evil karma will do the same for light rudiments of virtue. Will do the same for light rudiments of virtue. I don't know what he's saying, but what is basically saying is similarly, with just like the example, even if you do small negative deeds, if the root of the virtuous practice is expensive, very strong, then it will not be able to damage it. That is what he's saying. So this English translation, I don't know what he's saying. We'll do the same for light rudiments of virtue, I don't know. But the actual explanation is when you have a very strong, expensive foundation of virtuous practices, then the small negative deeds will not harm it, not destroy it. Okay. And likewise, you should abandon the 4 obscurations. Excitement, 4 obscurations are excitement, regret, malice, liquor and sleep, sense desires and doubt. Recognize these 5. 4. Yeah, 4. So he is giving instruction to give up 4 obstructions. Okay. But the root text says 5, right? Oh, sorry. The 4th point, right? The 4th point is talking about removing the 5 obstructions. 4th point. Okay. First is excitement. Excitement primarily is out of attachment. If towards an object of attachment, you get very excited. There's not much excitement for doing dharma practice. Jada nahi hai na? Not much enthusiasm. Okay. And then repentance or regret. So excitement here basically means getting your mind distracted towards objects in relation to which you will develop the 3 poisons. Ignorance, hatred and attachment. Now repentance definitely is repentance over good things that you have done, not over bad things you have done. If you regret over bad things you have done, this is good. But here regret means regretting over the bad things, good things you have done. For example, after you are spending so much time here studying this, if you go back and then say, oh, I wasted my time. You see, this is wrong regret. Okay. Then then harmful intention. Harmful intention means wishing to harm all sentient beings. Harmful intention. Malice, he used the word malice, but which means harmful intention. And यहाँ फिर क्या लिखा? लंगूर लिखा है क्या लिखा है? लंगूर, लंगूर, लंगूर लिखा. इसको क्या बोलते हैं? मेलिस है कि मालिस है? क्या है इसका? Malice, harmful intention. And languor means, normally I use the word torpor, Torpor, torpor. This is also a very tough word, Torpor, torpor. Okay. Torpor means when your mind becomes, the clarity of the mind is lost and you start sinking, this mental torpor. That normally happens after heavy lunch or things like that. Okay. Then sleep. Then what? Sense desires, developing attachment towards sensual objects and wishing to get it. Then doubt. In general, all doubts are obstruction to concentration, especially when you have doubt towards the object towards which you are meditating. Now here we need to clarify, what is the difference between doubt and skepticism? Is there any difference between doubt and skepticism? Generally in Buddhism, skepticism is encouraged, right? So now doubt normally means there are three types of doubt. Doubt tending towards what is not fact. Doubt tending, then we have equilibrium doubt, and then doubt tending towards fact. So this is the process, how you gradually develop your mental knowledge. If you are not so sure about something, you definitely have doubt. And at that point, your doubt may be more tending towards what is not fact. But if you analyze more, then you reach a level where you will say, maybe, maybe not, 50-50. Then you further scrutinize, analysis, then the doubt will be more tending towards fact. From there, then you gradually develop what we call as correct assumption. Then inferential cognition, and then valid cognition. So there are stages of how you remove your wrong consciousness, wrong thought. Okay. So recognize these 5 obstacles as thieves who steal the riches of the virtue. Okay. Some additional explanations, which is primarily related to the actual path of application. One should strive in earnest after faith, vigor. Vigor here means basically effort, making effort. Making effort is not just working hard, but working hard towards virtuous practice is called effort. Then he uses the word recollection, mindfulness, okay, then samadhi, and then wisdom. The 5 supreme dharma, also known as the strengths, the power, and the summits. So depending upon which level you are, at one level it is called strength, at another level it is called power, at another level it is called summit. Meaning, when you gain something like, he uses the word strength, but I would prefer using the word I don't know. I will explain the Tibetan version. Now when you practice these 5 qualities, and then gradually you develop that clarity of these 5 practices that you are doing, and you get some kind of illumination or clarity of those objects, and then you are able to engage into these practices with full control. And that state is called control. So the word control is, I think, much better. And having gained that clarity, when you are able to enjoy or apply those practices freely, for example, when you meditate on faith, then your mind will turn into faith. You are not placing faith somewhere there and meditating on it. It's not like meditating on a glass. You are making your mind go into faith. Similarly with the rest. Okay? So that is the meaning of gaining control. Now next is power. Next is power. Power means that you have full control over the object, and not only you have full control over the object, which already we explained. Now you will not be disturbed by the negative counter forces. Okay? You will be able to destroy and face the opposing negative forces also. For example, the negative counter force of faith is lack of faith. So lack of faith will not be there. The negative counter force of effort is laziness. Laziness will not be there, and so forth. Okay? So with effort you are able to stop all these negative counter forces, and without effortlessly you are able to destroy them. Effortlessly you are able to destroy them. That means now you have gained the power. Okay. Next is asking us to develop renunciation towards samsara. Conceits arising is prevented by its antidote, which is the repeated contemplation of one's own non-exemption from sickness, aging, death, separation from the desirable, and subjection to one's karma. So that means when you are in the samsara, you are not free from the control of these 5 things. Sickness will be there. Try as much as you can, but sickness comes there. You have no control. Aging. When did aging start? Right from the second moment of your birth. Aging means changing your youthfulness. So that has already started, and you are aging with every second. Buddha buri ho raha hai. है ना? हो रहा है. Aging. And the only good thing with aging is, aging comes so slowly and unnoticingly. That's a good thing in one sense, but bad thing because you don't notice it and you don't develop any positive counter forces. Because if there is an onslaught of attack of aging overnight, you will die of shock, die of heart attack. रात को बिस्तर पर सोया, and next day when you got up, you have all the wrinkles on your forehead, white hair and everything, you will die of heart attack, shock. So that's the good thing. But the bad thing is you don't notice it, therefore you don't take any countermeasures. Huh? So आजकल तो, I mean, in a way good, in a way not so good. In the modern world, especially in the West, they say now they don't want to call it 70-year-old, they want to call it 70-year young. In a way good, in a way it's against law of nature. You are not accepting what is the reality. Right? So that's the thing. How old do you think I am? 18. 18. 61. Oh, I wish I am 16. I am over 70. 70 years young. 70 years young. Okay, so we develop conceit. Because of your physical form, because of your youthfulness, and so forth, you see. But you need to realize that you will have no exception from sickness, aging, death, separation from the desirable. Those desirable things you don't want to get separated, but you get separated, even before death. Things that you want, you don't get. Things you don't want, they are available everywhere. People you want to meet, they are not available, even on phone. People you don't want to meet, they are always waiting for you at the corner. खरा आपका इंतजार कर रहा है ना? So things happen something like this. Things happen something like this. So therefore, what he is saying is, it is because of this fact. Then you will not develop this conceit, arrogance of not remembering death and so forth, of not remembering sickness and so forth, and thereby you will be able to see the reality as it is in the samsara. Therefore you will develop this wish not to take rebirth continuously in this samsara. And that is called renunciation. Renunciation is not just renouncing and throwing things away, but renunciation is seeing the drawback, the limitations of your life, and then you find alternative positive ways of getting happiness or getting away from the samsara. Okay. There's one stanza in Aryadeva's 400 verses where Aryadeva says, one who does not have sense of fatigue and tiredness in this samsara will never develop respect to nirvana. one who does not have sense of fatigue and tiredness with this samsara will never develop reverence to nirvana. And he gives an example by saying, one who thinks that my present home is fine, absolutely fine, why should that person think about moving to some other country, some other place? It's only when you see that things are not functioning well in your present neighborhood or in your present home, then you will think about moving to America or Canada or even moving to some other parts of the city. Even in India, you might think, when Delhi is too hot, you might think about moving to some other hill stations, at least temporarily, things like that. So it's only when you see the shortcomings, the limitations, that then you will think about going somewhere else. So therefore it is important to see the reality. When we talk about the limitations and disadvantages in samsara, we are not making it up. It is there. But until now you refuse to see these things. Until now you refuse to see these things. Because the problem with us is we normally continue to see what we want to see, not what we should be seeing. यहाँ हम लोग मार खा जाते हैं. This is how we get wrong. Now what these Buddhist teachings are saying is you should see what needs to be seen, not what you want to see. वही खाना खा के मत बैठो, ये सेहत के लिए अच्छा नहीं है. Saying something like this, Don't keep on eating the same food because you like it, because you know only this food. There are many other different types of food which is actually much better for you, for your health. So change your diet, change your lifestyle. That's what he's saying. Because if what you have been doing so far is absolutely good, then you should not be in the samsara today. In Buddhism, in a challenging note, we say, where is Buddha and where are you now? Buddha is completely enlightened, able to help millions of people, and stupid me kept on doing the same thing, kept on recycling the same thing, so back to square one. And it will be like this forever. If you don't change your habit, don't change your way of thinking. Even in this very life, you will never make proper improvement if you don't change your way of thinking a little bit for the positive side. That's what he's saying. Okay? So, conceit arising is prevented by its antidote, which is the repeated Tiruva. What is it? Okay. So in this verse, what he's basically saying is, the state, the present state that you have right now is nothing but a result of your karma. So if you want to change this state, you need to change your karma, your way of life, your actions. That's what he's saying. This is not clearly translated here. This one line is missing. Okay. Verse 47. Now, but in verse 47, he is instructing you to develop conviction to the infallibility of law of karma. Don't think that you will do something wrong and you will escape the fruit because it's not seen by the police or not seen by other people. Don't think like that. You can't escape the law of karma. I already spoke about the fruition of the imprint that you live on your mind. So similar is the case. Okay? So that's what he's saying. If you desire the higher realms and liberation, higher realms means life of a human being or life of a god, the worldly god, and liberation, nirvana. If you desire the higher realms and liberation, meditate upon the right view. Right view is view of emptiness. Even good deeds by a person with a wrong view all have dreadful fruition. So if you don't have the right view, even if you do something good, it may have not very, very pleasant fruit. Okay? That's what he's saying. So in other words, what he's saying is, in order to achieve liberation and omniscience, you first need to achieve the life of a human being or a god. Okay? So if you develop this aspiration to finally achieve enlightenment and nirvana, that is your long-term goal, or in order to reach that long-term goal, presently the only thing you can do is to achieve higher human rebirth. That process or way of thinking is perfect. But if you satisfy it only, if you don't aspire to achieve liberation and nirvana, if you say it's good enough for me just to achieve the life of human being, then that is the inferior way of thinking. Okay? Now in the next lines, he is talking about the path of a superior being, the path of an Arya, and the fruits. First he makes a little bit explanation about the path of seeing. This is explained with 4 points. So first he gives the instruction to give up the four wrong ways of perceptions, 4 wrong ways of thinking. This is actually the practice of mindfulness. Understand humans as being in actuality miserable, impermanent, having no self, and impure. Those in whom recollection has not been well established, give heed to the 4 delusions, the source of ruination. So that basically means we have all heard about the meditation on mindfulness. Okay. So here what he's saying is, the reality is, I will not use the word miserable, but I will use the word, in reality human beings are not well. That's what he's saying. In reality human beings are not well, they are impermanent, they are selfless, they are impure. That's reality. Now if you understand that reality, then you will be moving towards the path to liberation and enlightenment. But instead, if you develop these 4 misconceptions means, what are the 4 misconceptions? Seeing what is impermanent as permanent, right? And what is not well as well. We will all say, I'm well, okay, but actually you are not well, because you are invaded by this host of negative emotions. How can you be well? Right? And then impermanent, of course, but we tend to, now when I ask you whether you are impermanent or permanent, you will say impermanent, because you are thinking. But ordinarily in our day-to-day life, we think I'm permanent, in the sense I will finish my job, I will finish my university, get this degree, and then probably get married, then build a house, things like that. You're planning to live forever. Even if you ask a very old man, say over 90 years old, are you going to die tonight? Are you going to die? First you ask the question, are you going to die? He will definitely say, yes, I am. I am very old, I am going to die. Ask the next question, are you going to die tonight? Tonight, maybe not. This is called grasping of permanence. right? So every day you think, I'm not going to die today, I'm not going to die today, I'm not going to die today, and you prepare for living. And you never prepare those things which is necessary for your journey after the death. Okay? So this wrong conception of being well, that wrong conception is removed by meditating on the first kind of practice of mindfulness, which is called mindfulness of one's body. Maintaining mindfulness over your body. Now it is your body towards which you develop attachment. It's your body. Mind, not much, because you don't see mind. It is your body towards which you develop attachment. Right? So therefore, it is important to also meditate on the second, which is called mindfulness of feeling. Okay? Because of your attachment to the body, you develop this feeling of attachment towards your body. So you need to therefore scrutinize your feeling. And then, after that, not only you develop this feeling of attachment to the body, but you also see the mind as the basis of self. At the end of the day, it is my mind which will go to next life and so forth. So therefore, you see mind as the example of the self. So therefore, on the third level, you need to maintain this mindfulness of the mind. Mindfulness of body, mindfulness of feeling, mindfulness of mind. And fourthly, you start thinking that all the positive things and negative things and all other things that the mind experiences have inherent existence, which is not there. Therefore, you need to meditate on the fourth mindfulness, which is called mindfulness of the phenomena. So we use the word mindfulness, but it is basically wisdom that analyzes your body, that analyzes your feeling, that analyzes your mind, and that analyzes the whole phenomena. So therefore, it's so useful. You know, he says, human beings are not at all well. Number one, not well. Human beings, this is how I translate. Human beings are not at all well. They are impermanent, selfless, impure. And those people who do not maintain mindfulness on that, they instead go to the four misconceptions of seeing oneself as well, as permanent, as having self, and as being pure. And because of these four misconceptions, you are led into the path of destruction. This is how it destroys. These four misconceptions destroy you, that is what he is saying. So therefore, you can clearly see how maintaining mindfulness is so important. That's what he's saying. Okay? So the misconception of seeing oneself as well is removed by mindfulness over the body. And the second is removed by the mindfulness of feeling, and third by the mindfulness of the mind, and fourth mindfulness of the phenomena. Of course, this mindfulness practice has to be done right from the path of, accumulation and so forth. Even before that, even ordinary people like us who have not obtained any of this path, we should meditate on this four mindfulness. But this practice of four mindfulness is explained especially here during the path of seeing, because here you are able to see the reality of things directly. The path of seeing is so called because it is at the path of seeing where you are able to see emptiness directly. Okay? Path of accumulation, you accumulate a lot of merits. Path of preparation, you prepare to realize emptiness, and you develop some kind of generic image of emptiness. Then when you move to the third path, you are able to directly see shunyata. That's why it is called path of seeing. Okay? And then you meditate on it again and again, path of meditation, then gradually path of no more learning, then you become a Buddha. This is how it goes. Okay. So now in order to maintain such mindfulness, you need to analyze the reality as it is. So the verse 49 says, it was declared that form is not self, and self does not possess form. The self is not seated in form, and form is not seated in the self, understanding the remaining four aggregates as similarly empty. So you analyze any of the five aggregates: form, sound, smell, taste, contact. Okay? You analyze any of these five aggregates, you will find none of them having inherent independent existence. That's what he's saying. They are designated. The so-called I and person is designated on those, but they are not the person. They are not the person. So to make a long story short, that is the thing. Even in the case of the person, like for example, what is your name?
Akshaya.
Huh?
Akshaya.
Akshaya. Akshaya?
Akshaya.
Akshaya. So where is Akshaya? Where is Akshaya? This is a question for the rest of the people. Do you see Akshaya? Can you see? आपने देखा, हम लोग बोलते हैं ना देखा है, लेकिन जो तुम देख रहा है, the thing that Akshaya that you are seeing is not Akshaya. You are seeing her body. Akshaya is not body. Akshaya is not mind. है ना? Normally we say, my body is not well today. My mind is not clear today. Indicating that there is an I separate from the body and mind. Now tell me, where is this I which is separate from your body and mind? It's funny. It's so funny. You know? But that doesn't mean to say Akshaya is not there. Akshaya is definitely there. This is very complex area, complex topic. But the point that we need to understand is everything is designated. There's nothing that has independent inherent existence. This is the point that we need to understand. For example, this is what? This is what? This is book. You say this is book. I'm saying this is not a book. This is elephant. I'm reading from the elephant. Now you're laughing. You're thinking Geshe is now gone out of his mind. He's crazy, right? But I'm not crazy. Why I can't call this elephant? Why? These are all designated. There was a time when somebody called this collection of paper as book, and then others said, okay, no problem, we need to communicate, so we have to have a word, we have to have a name. There's no disagreement. Huh? So we call this a book. Then everybody said, okay, book. Now everybody says book. Because now the convention of calling books has become so strong that I cannot break this convention. Now if I call it this is elephant, you will all gang up against me and say Geshe is crazy. Right? But in reality this is just a designation. Had we all agreed right from the beginning, calling this as an elephant, not a book, today you will not be shocked. So what is there in the name? It's all designation. This is important to be told because we are all developing so much obsession with the name, thinking when we call Akshaya, then we think, oh, Akshaya should be there from her own side, independent, inherent. So what this text is saying is, no, there's nothing like that. And the purpose of understanding that is, when you see Akshaya as something complete, inherent, absolute, independent, then there is somebody to fiddle with, to contact with. Otherwise, to our ordinary mind, if everything is designated, nothing concrete, nothing absolute, फिर क्या मजा है? फिर मजा नहीं है ना? There's no fun. We are so used to playing with the corporeal things. It's difficult for us to understand anything when it's told otherwise. Once I was giving a talk, public talk in Moscow, again saying something like this. Then there was a young man, Russian man, he got up and he said, if things don't have inherent independent existence, then how can I love my girlfriend? It's a practical question. Good question. Because this is exactly what I'm saying. Ordinarily, when you love somebody, that thing that you love, a man, women, or or car, whatever, that should be there. अपने ओर से होना चाहिए, नहीं तो फिर क्या मजा है? It should be there from its own side. Otherwise, how can I love that person? For me, that question was mesmerizing, and I was able to come up with a pretty good answer. I said, no, you are misunderstanding me. If your girlfriend is existing independently, absolutely, there's no hurry in making love. You can love her anytime, because she is going to be there all the time. She is permanent, absolute. So even if you don't love, it's okay. She will be fine. Now in Buddhism, love is important because that person doesn't have independent inherent existence. That person is fragile. That person that you are loving today may be gone tomorrow, may be dead tomorrow. So now is the time to love her. It's the other way around, you see. It's the other way around. And if anything has independent inherent existence, you can't even love that person. You can't even contact that person. You have no connection with that person. That person is like worse than a pathar, worse than a stone, So your positive activities, negative activities will not make an inch of difference to that other object, if that object has inherent independent existence. So therefore, Nagarjuna said, to whom emptiness is possible, everything is possible. To whom emptiness is possible, everything is possible. That means those things which have dependent existence, then everything is possible. Contrarily, to whom emptiness is not possible, nothing is possible. If emptiness is not possible, meaning that if everything has independent, inherent existence, then nothing can be done. Today we are making so much progress in technological and scientific and other areas in the world because things are interdependent, interconnected, and you can manipulate and change the causes, the conditions, and you can come up with artificial intelligence. You can come up with so many strange things, because of your understanding how causes and conditions function. It's endless. If it is other way around, there's nothing that you can do. Okay. So therefore, the point that I'm making is, he's saying that if you analyze the relation between the body, the five aggregates, and the person, then if they have independent existence, then they have nothing to do with each other. Or they can be then one, or have no connection at all. That is what he's saying. Okay? And then there are a lot of misconceptions. So verse 50 is talking about removing some of the misconceptions. The aggregates do not arise at random. The aggregate does not arise at random. This is refuting, other philosophical traditions. There are philosophical traditions where they say things are created by the wish of an Ishvara. Things are created by a god or Ishvara, because of his thinking. His mind is the prime mover, and because of these things came into being. So he is refuting this. The aggregates do not arise at random due to the wish and thinking of someone else. Okay? And not from time. Time is a time that has substantial existence. So time here means a time that has inherent independent existence. Things also do not come from such a time having inherent independent existence. Now this is more related to some of the philosophical traditions of Samkhya, which they talk about, the equality of Rajas, Tamas, and so many things, very complex. Yeah. Okay. And also not from their own essence. Because things cannot be produced by itself, right? So therefore, not from itself. Not from itself, or from Ishvara, nor without a cause. Nothing arises without a cause. There are multifarious levels of phenomena which we are unable to explain, and because we are unable to explain, then we say it must be created by a clever creator, clever God. There are people who say, like, look at just the color of a flower. Who made this color? So there are two ways of saying. One, they say these beautiful colors, the leaves and the shape, all this is because of this. They are created by a clever planner, thinker, designer. The others say no. They are born out of their actual nature. It is inherent in the seed. Right? So the Buddhist explanation is everything comes from their causes and conditions. And if you explore in detail the causes and conditions, you will find the causes for each of them. Okay? Now if you say who first created everything, then the very question of first is a stupid question, because we cannot pinpoint a time and saying this is where everything started. Okay? Maybe a few questions now. Yeah.
You have been saying that you have to perceive reality as it is.
Yeah.
But according to Nagarjuna, nothing truly exists, and finally emptiness also does not exist. So how do we see reality?
No. Emptiness exists. So make a distinction between existence and independent existence. Things don't exist independently, but they exist. That's the fun. That's the fun, because ordinarily we think anything that's existing independently, anything that exists must exist independently. नहीं तो क्या मजा है, मैंने अभी बताया था ना आपको. So अब आपका मजा बिल्कुल खत्म कर रहा है यहाँ. He's saying आपको मजा हो या ना हो, but things exist but don't exist independently. So he's saying things simply exist, उसी में आपको मजा लेना है. This is amazing. If you read this text written by Tsongkhapa praising the Buddha, he praises the Buddha because Buddha taught this very complex topic of interdependent origination. And then Tsongkhapa was praising him by saying, how did he figure this out? This concept of interdependent origination in its most subtle level, how did he figure out? The more I think, the more I am struck in amazement. Because things exist, don't exist independently. फिर क्या मतलब इसका? Things exist just like things exist in a dream.
So it exists in a dream, but it does not exist in reality.
Reality, how depends upon how you explain it.
So how do we
When you
perceive
say reality, when you say reality, if you are saying it in terms of having true or independent existence, then it doesn't exist reality.
How do we
But
differentiate?
if you say reality in terms of our being able to, connect to it, talk about it, touch it, feel it, yes, it exists. So it depends upon what do you mean by reality. People make a distinction between actuality and reality also. Okay? So I really experience it. It is there. Okay? But not having inherent independent existence. But if we think really about it, फिर पागल हो जाएगा हम लोग. कैसे जी रहा है, कैसे जी रहा है? Things are really like an illusion. In fact, they are like an illusion. And we go after illusion. One of the best convincing example that I can give is this teaching in 37 Bodhisattva practices, where he says, this quotation says, when you encounter an attractive object, see it like a rainbow in the summer. Even though it looks beautiful from a distance, but there is no benefit of getting obsessed with it, because there is no object there having independent inherent existence. This is a beautiful example. We are not obsessed only with the people, but we are obsessed with the things that we see on the television screen. At least comparing to the actual human being, what you see on the television screen is an illusion, of course, है ना? उसमें भी हम लोग obsessed हो जाते हैं ना? ये आ गया, एक्टर आ गया, ये एक्ट्रेस आ गया, देखो देखो, है ना? The illusion is very easy to arise. And then by grasping to that illusion, it leads, as the text says, to ruination. So just like what you see in a rainbow, what you see on a television screen, we are not so different. Because when you actually explore, where is the person? It's just designation. And similarly, you explore each and everything. This thing called finger. Finger कहाँ से शुरू होता है? यहाँ से, यहाँ से, यहाँ से कहाँ से शुरू होता है? If you split into different parts, analyze, it's all designation. But we are completely obsessed with the designation. Therefore, we get problem. The purpose of Buddhist teaching is not to get stuck anywhere, to get freedom. How can you get that freedom if you get stuck with these things? That's what we are saying. It's not easy. Not easy. So therefore in Buddhism we say, in order to realize emptiness, you need to collect a lot of merit. Purification भी बहुत करना है आपको. Sadhana बहुत करना है. There are so many processes. And if you misperceive emptiness, there is a stanza by Nagarjuna where he says, if you misperceive emptiness, those with small intelligence will be lost. Just like mishandling a snake or misreading a mantra. If you mishandle a snake, it will bite you and cut you. If you know how to catch the head, first thing they do is catch the head. Even some of the rats are very good in catching the head, attacking the head of the snake, But otherwise you will be in big problem, right? So therefore, best way of understanding emptiness is understanding the other side of emptiness, which is dependent origination. When you develop full understanding of how things come into existence by depending upon a multiplicity of causes and conditions, then you will be able to conclude there is nothing having independent existence. That's meaning of emptiness. And the purpose and benefit, so many benefits. It will have a very liberating effect upon your whole life. Because you are not obsessed, you will not get stuck anything. It's illusion, क्यों खो जाना इसमें, है ना? Then also when problems and difficulties and things arise, you are able to see that it comes by depending on multiplication of causes and conditions. I remember that example that His Holiness gave a long time back when everybody was criticizing Saddam Hussein, saying that he is a dictator and things like that. Everybody was criticizing. And His Holiness was probably the only person who said, Saddam Hussein may be bad, Saddam Hussein may be a dictator, but it is wrong to put all the blame on him. Take into consideration all the causes and conditions. For example, Saddam Hussein may be a dictator, he may be very bad, but he will not be able to bring a lot of destruction unless somebody had supplied him the arms. And who have supplied him the arms? Those very people who are criticizing him. So take into consideration. For example, if you get upset with somebody, it's very easy to say, to blame that person, that she is responsible, he is responsible. If I eliminate her, all problem will be gone. It's very easy. But don't do that. Take into consideration of all things. Why she is behaving so negatively to you? What type of negative emotions are there inside him? What are the family background she is brought up? And then so many factors. She may be sick or whatever, So if you bring all this into focus, and then why particularly she is angry with you, not with the whole people all over the world. You may be playing a role there also, you see. So when you take into this larger consideration of multiplicity of causes and conditions playing the role there, you will not find one target to blame everything. When we are not able to see this in the limelight of interconnected, reality, then we tend to, as I already mentioned, the drawback of these negative emotions is these negative emotions are narrow-minded. They are short-sighted. They want to just find one target to shoot. When you develop attachment, you want one person to love. This is the only person I love. No one else. Because it's negative emotion. The right love says, love all sentient beings. Similarly, when you get angry, you want one person. This is my enemy number one. So therefore, the point I'm making is when you develop some sense of this interplay of this interconnected reality, you will just open up and see the richness of the tapestry, right? Both in the positive sense and also finding the negative causes. Okay.
I have one confusion with the verse of Shanti Dev Bodhicharaptarya. For myself and for my friends, I want no suffering, no disrespect, no harsh words and nothing unpleasant. Yeah. But for my enemies, it's the opposite.
Yeah, I explained this yesterday. When you develop harmful intention or resentment, you do it by 9 ways. 1, this person has harmed my relatives in the past, is harming my relatives now, he will harm my relatives in the future. This person is harming me now, harmed me in the past, will harm me in the future. This person is helping my enemy now, has helped my enemy in the past, will help my enemy in the future. So with this 9 ways of thinking, you develop strong resentment to that person. That's what he's saying there. Yeah.
Geshe Lhakdor, good morning. So my question is how to demarcate between the self-grasping ignorance and self-centered attitude. And the second question is traditionally we say don't go with the bad people or bad student, bad company. But if we analyze the causes of the people who are which you say bad people, so there are numerous causes. So when we understand the causes, sometimes we feel compassion to the person, to the bad people, right? So as an individual, so how can we try to be compassionate to the person whom we say bad people or bad person? On the other hand, we should not be the kind of false way under the prison of his bad behavior. So how do we deal with this?
So again, using wisdom, like self-grasping or ignorance, basically, it's a usage of word, but self-grasping and ignorance, same thing. That means self here is not the person, but self here refers to anything that is having inherent independent existence. So grasping things having inherent existence, that is called self-grasping, and that is the ignorance. That is the root cause of samsara. So that must be eliminated, and by wisdom. Self-cherishing attitude. Self-cherishing attitude means thinking just about oneself and completely forgetting about the well-being of others. Self-cherishing attitude, when we talk about removing self-cherishing attitude, we are not saying that you don't take care of yourself. I've been repeatedly saying, take good care of yourself, but not self-cherishing attitude. Self-cherishing attitude means thinking just about oneself and completely forgetting about others. मुझे क्या फर्क पड़ता है दूसरों का? हाँ? मैं दूसरों को देखभाल करने वाला कौन है? ऐसे बोलता है ना हम लोग. हाँ, देखभाल करने वाला तो सरकार बना हुआ, ऐसे बोलता है ना हम लोग. ऐसा नहीं बोलना चाहिए. We should not say things like that. We all have the responsibility, and for your own goodness and well-being, you need to take care of others. That's the thing. And then also, yes, we need to, as we already studied, you need to properly identify and make sure that you are not associating with the bad people. This is not to say that they are bad people, I have no compassion for them, I have no love for them. As much as possible you help them, but make sure that while in the process of helping, you don't get stuck there. That's what I'm saying. Therefore you should, as I already mentioned, probably maintain a distance between you and other people. Even with good people, even with bad people, of course, even with good people, maintain some distance. It's important. I already gave you the example the other day. The human relation, in terms of human relation, it should be like the relation we keep with the fire. Bola tha na maine? Don't go too close, don't remain too far. Okay? So with those so-called bad people also, if there is a way and means that you can help that person without yourself getting stuck there, then you help. But if there is a risk that you will get stuck there, then maintain some distance. Because we are ordinary people. It's important that in order to help others, first you have to help yourself. Okay? There are many people who are not prepared, and then they are very motivated to help others. They go there to help, and then in the process they experience burnt out. Many people suffering from burnt out because आपने खुद को चार्ज नहीं किया, टॉर्च लेके गया डार्कनेस में, कभी चार्ज नहीं किया, फिर कितना देर चलेगा वो, बुझ जाएगा ना, तो बार बार चार्ज करना पड़ता है ना. Yeah.
Sashidale Kishla. So let me put up a thought experiment in front of you. Let's suppose that I am at a party club and all the people in front of me are having fun, and my mind is lost into the thoughts of dharma, from renunciation, from bodhicitta to emptiness. So are these instances of, conventionally speaking, distraction because you are not where you actually are? Are they bad? Because we said that, distraction
there is a teaching where it says, even if your realization is high like a god, but your behavior should be normal. Udhar pretension nahi karna. Ya to you should not go there, or if you're there, enjoy. ऐसा मत बोलो उधर पहुंच तो गया, but you are acting you are Buddha,
thinking about it.
वो नहीं चलता है, नहीं चलता.
Okay. So still it would be bad. So still it would be thinking about Buddha Dharma at a party club would be bad.
You are thinking about Buddha probably in the wrong place, wrong time.
Tashidale, so I might be repeating your question, but I still don't understand it. It's just how do you, since to designate an object, you need to perceive it first, right? So how do you explain perception in terms of multiplicity of causes and effect? Because as you said that there is no absolute cause. So how do you explain perception of an object?
No, there is no absolute, cause, but things are there. Things are there in front of you, therefore you have the senses, consciousnesses, you perceive it, that's it. You don't have to go very far, whether it has an absolute cause or not, they are there.
I mean, as you mentioned, who gave color to the flowers? So what created it?
It's causes, pigments.
Okay.
For example, mango seed cannot produce banana because the cause of a mango tree or plant is there in the mango seed, not in the banana seed. Right? If it is not, if these are all made by one person, then why it should not be there in everything? Something like that, yeah. Yeah.
I know I asked you this before. I just wanted to know the text, the name of the text again, to read on emptiness.
I suggested for
Yeah.
easier understanding, cultivating daily meditation.
Okay.
Cultivating, because it has a lot of question answers also. Yeah.
Author
His Holiness Dalai Lama.
and causes and effects.
इसमें भी है, वो भी है.
Okay.
But the major text, if you want to read, then I suggested this 3-volume Stages of the Path to Enlightenment by Tsongkhapa. ठीक है. There is also one book which we are selling here, which on the concept of Buddhist science on mind. And that is actually very, very good. Very good. Yeah.
Tesla Gishla. I don't know if I'll be able to frame it right.
Huh?
But, I don't know if I'll be able to frame it right.
Yeah.
But like, usually we understand the world in terms of a relative understanding of good and bad.
Yes.
So, but when we are talking about an absolute, is there an absolute good or an absolute bad? Or does the idea of emptiness, the non-duality, it dissolves the idea of good and bad completely?
No.
And if it does, then how would we perceive?
No, I already explained this. You know, even if things have no absolute existence, but things exist. Therefore, good is there, bad is there. Goodness is there, badness is there.
And that goodness and badness is subjective to our perception, right?
Exactly.
So that basically...
Not just subject to our mind, that goodness and bad, the thing called good or bad is defined in terms of whether it is beneficial to you or not beneficial to you, not just your thinking.
So it's not a
For
delusion
example,
that
we say poison is bad. Not because you thought poison is bad, but poison, if you take poison, it will kill you. It will make you sick. So therefore it's bad. Okay? La.
Good morning, Geshe Lhakdor. My question is like of a personal going question. I'm a person who always believes in the idea of forgive but never forget. Because whenever, according to my experience, it's always the closest person who gives me the pain. It's like I always like I forgive them but never forget what they had done to me. Is it a bad thing?
No. It depends how you explain. I always say, forgive but remember the names. But remembering the names or not forgetting is done so that you can revenge, then that's wrong. But simply recognizing the wrongdoing as wrongdoing, it was not good, I think it's okay. Okay. Thank you.
Any more questions?
That's all right. Sir, I'm overstaying 5 minutes. Yeah.
There is this verse, what is the category of nirvana? That is the category of samsara. There is not even the finest gap to be found between the two.
Huh?
So, what is the category of nirvana, that is the category of samsara. There is not even the finest gap to be found between the two. So if there is no fine gap, why do we go for nirvana? Why do we want nirvana?
When you see samsara, when you talk about seeing samsara and nirvana as equal in the sense both have no inherent existence, but still both exist. Not only both exist, but the existence of one is such that if you go into it, you get problem. Existence of another is such that you go into it, you get peace and happiness. Therefore, you go for nirvana, not go for samsara. है ना? क्या बात लगा? I give you the example of poison and nectar. Both don't have independent existence. From that stance, they are same. But in terms of benefiting or harming you, they are not same. Poison will kill you, and nectar will benefit you. So similarly, samsara will harm you, nirvana will benefit you, in that sense. So it's a different level that we say that they are same. Yeah. Okay? हाँ,
कुछ नहीं समझा उसका कुछ नोट्स
क्या कंसंट्रेशन?
फूड कंसंट्रेशन जो
हाँ
बोल रहे थे एनालिसिस
हाँ हाँ, अभी समझ में नहीं आएगा।